We are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Toe the Line with me, George Glinsky, joined today by BKB promoter Jim Freeman. Jim, how are we doing?
All right, mate. You all right? I've got to say, you look the most normal I look. You know, you look like a Greek waiter today.
Thank you very much.
From an absolute nonce case. So congratulations. Welcome to humanity.
Wow, brilliant. Well, I mean, that's the biggest compliment I've received all week, so I really appreciate that. Now, with 4 weeks away from Fight Night, BKB 25, so around about this time, you start getting the pullouts, you start getting, the excuses, everything starts to go a little bit wrong. How is things going on the promoter side at the moment?
No, still got it. We got 10 fights. For a Sunday afternoon, there was a little bit of trepidation putting the show on a Sunday. We had a problem with the O2. With getting Saturday night, basically, one of the managers there messed up. Anyway, so it was like, we'll do a Super Sunday. So you kind of like, first Sunday, is it going to work? Obviously, thanks, Mickey Parker's been great. Barry, Jimmy, good, really solid tickets. We'll be sold out this week. So 3 weeks ago, we'd have to worry about tickets, completely sold out, which is back to where we were sort of pre-COVID times, which is great. Shows, doors open at 1:30. First fight's 3:00, done by about 7:00. So we've done it like that, but because we've got a TV deal in China, so it kind of suits their market to go live in China, which is going to be an absolute huge audience. It's going to be the biggest show by an absolute country mile watching it live. So that's great, and it kind of suits as well. It works really nice because you finish at 7:00. People can get home for work for that kind of stuff. So I think that's captured people's imagination. It makes it logistically a little bit difficult with weigh-ins and bits and pieces and that, making sure people are on time for all that in the morning. And some different challenges that we have, but it's great to get back to where it's a genuinely packed, sold out show. Everyone's getting more confidence, getting out and about.
Because it being on a Sunday, obviously the idea would be that less people would come, you would think, but I understand that tickets are doing quite well, particularly Mickey Parker, as per usual, selling the tens of hundreds in there.
Well, he's a nice guy, Mickey, isn't he? People always say like, oh, don't get involved in drama. Mickey generally does not get involved in drama. It's just good luck, well done, polite, nice lads, and there's others on the card that have done really well. And I think as a company, we've done really well. So the uptakes, it's a good card, it's good fights. And I think it's sort of captured the public's imagination, really. So, there's a good solid card. And that's what we're about. I think the last show was fantastic. And, we sold a lot of tickets straight away. So this will be your last week. As we sit now, I don't know when you're going to put this out, but this will be the last week for ticket sales. 3 weeks to go. Well, there won't be any tickets. You won't get a ticket. You won't get in. There's going to be quite a few disappointing people, but it's a nice place to be.
And a lot of questions about what time it will start. I understand it's starting earlier than the usual cards on the Sunday.
Yeah, and so weighing will be in the morning about 9:00. Doors will open for the public at 1:30. The first fight will be 3:00, and we'll be wrapped up and finished by 7 p.m. UK time. So, if you're within a couple of hours of the O2, you'll be home by about 9-ish. So, ready for work the next day and whatnot. You haven't got to, worry too much about all that.
And just to mention, of course, that for people, you said 10 fights, it was originally 11. There was Aaron Foster and Gareth Hutchin have been removed from the card, just to confirm that for BKB fans at home.
That's exactly it. Yeah. We've got 10 fights. And obviously, we've just seen we signed Ishii Smith prior to COVID. We finally got a date in with him now. We've been able to travel and the whole situation with vaccines and all that kind of stuff. So he's going to be at BKB 26. He's going to be at BKB 25. So we're going to get a face-off with him and his opponent. So if you're at the show, you're going to be the first to see or watch the show who he's fighting in June, which is going to be great. Frank Bruno's going to be at the show in April. So Frank's back, which, for a couple of reasons, we've not had Frank at the last couple of shows. So Frank's back at the show. He's a massive BKB fan, so he'll be there. So anyone who's got tickets will get to see Frank and meet Frank, which is great. Just a real buzz about this show, isn't there, really?
No, definitely. And obviously Ishii Smith, the first world champion boxer in BKB history. We've had sort of WBF, WBU, but when we talk about the four main sanctioning bodies, former IBF super welterweight champion is a massive signing for BKB. But
had Bare-Knuckle, so he's undefeated Bare-Knuckle, so he's actually won Bare-Knuckle fights, so he's used to the Bare-Knuckle aspect of it. First ever world champion from Las Vegas as well. Just kind of exciting to have some talent like that getting involved.
Yeah, definitely. And BYB 9 last night, I haven't watched the entire card. Obviously, I saw the Toby Bindon fight. I kind of stayed up for that after coming back from Carnage in Cardiff, which was a MTK boxing show. What did you make of it? Did you watch the whole card?
I haven't. So I did the same as you. Obviously, I had work early this morning, so last night it was on so late. It was pretty much the card was finishing as I was getting up for work. So yeah, I watched obviously Toby. Very disappointing with Toby what happened. He's got to how they deal with defeat. He's got to eat a bit of humble pie. He's built himself up. He's marketed himself fantastically. Red coat invasions, talking of titles, talking of all this. So how he responds to that and the disappointment of defeat. This is bare-knuckle combat that makes it so good. So what happens to Toby from here? It'd be interesting to see. Disappointed for him, but I thought the card was their principles the same as ours. It's a good card. Just a good solid matchups. Some of the women fights were good. I think I watched about 7 fights. I watched Gabriel Frey because I know his manager Joe Mack. So he won again last night. Obviously, we're familiar with Josh Burns. So I watched Josh. I knew he was going to be in big problems with Tony Lopez. I called it with with a couple of American guys I was speaking to prior to that. So yeah, that kind of went as I expected. I watched the JD Burns fight with the other guy. That was a great fight. Just a good card. Mike and Mel are great to deal with. So the cross promotion that we're doing is working really well because their ethos and their philosophy is not like, let's get like minor celebrities, TikTokers or mismatch fights. It's just having a good solid card. So it kind of works really well. And, I know you said about the score in that, but no one really keeping the score in it. I'm actually glad that they had a win in a little bit so people don't have to keep banging on about it. Do you know what I mean? Because I didn't want it to be a bone of contention. So I'm glad that did happen in some ways.
No, I'm keeping the scoreboard just for the fans at home. But obviously, as I say, it's
outside of a bit. Outside of a little bit banter, it doesn't really matter. Just good fights. We saw the 2 guys that came over. Obviously, we've got Dooley over with them fighting Marley Churcher. That's going to fly under the radar in terms of fights, but it's going to be a corker. So it's just good. They're just easy guys to deal with. It's just great to deal with, and it's giving people chance. Like Franco is over in May, over with them. We've got Ryan Barrett, Scott McHugh, Paul Hills, potentially Dan Lurwell, all have expressed an interest to go and fight over there. And then we've got obviously some guys that are building bigger records over there coming over here as well. So yeah, it's good. It's good.
This is really, really exciting time. Now, with Bindon and the loss, it begs the question from your perspective, how much does a loss in BYB affect your trajectory in BKB?
Nothing much really, because listen, Toby's talked of like a championship level game, but in truth, obviously, he's only fought Joey Vaughan, who was a debut guy as well. We don't know how good Joey did. He come out, we put it straight on him, and he won the fight with ease and fair play to him. So I think the next step for Toby, for me, and I've not spoken to Toby, and this is just speaking out loud, is try and get him in and gauge where he's at in terms of BKB level. So with someone who's experienced, give him someone who we know, who's got some sort of record with BKB, and he can go through the motions from them and build himself up. The great thing about Toby is he's easy to deal with. He's young, so he's got plenty of time. A bit like Mason Shaw, he's had knockbacks along these kind of, similar to Toby. It's a long project. It's not a small kind of thing. But like I say, mentally, it's always difficult with fighters when they build themselves here and they get that loss and how they deal with it. We've seen it with fantastic glove boxers, haven't we? Like Prince Nassim springs to mind. He lost to Barrera, and he had that one fight, wasn't the same, just wasn't feeling it, and just that was him done kind of thing.
Definitely. And Franco-wise, you mentioned him going over to BYB. Have we got any details on opponents? Was it May, did you say he was going over?
Yeah, May's going over. Not my place to say. He's matched with ex-Bellator fighter, been on like Glory Kickboxing, really tough, a perfect fight for Franco. 2 of the toughest dudes going. So I actually really can't wait for that fight. So it's a really good fight for Franco. And it's a good time as well, because obviously he's still hopeful for a 3rd fight with Jimmy, regardless of the result with Barry. So obviously with Jimmy fighting in April, him fighting in May, it works perfectly to then potentially meet further down the line regardless, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Now, contracts, it's always a debated topic. I've seen a lot of discourse online, and it's something I feel like you want to talk about. I think it's something that needs to be talked about again on camera, unfortunately. The watertight nature of the contract. Obviously, we've seen a few guys go over to America, and there's been debates over the legitimacy of the BKB contract. So is there any chance you could talk about that to some of the people that are perhaps on the fence about it?
I'll just say that we'll see the legitimacy in court, won't we? Very soon, because we're going to test it so people can see then, can't they? You know, I think Joe's in the fin where he's happy to spend 50 grand in legal fees to get nothing back to prove the point of this, you know, kind of thing. So yeah, look, they're a legal contract. They're done by a lawyer. They're a legal contract. And I've said to you before, we've had it before, is if you not want to be a long-term fight for us, you don't want to sign, don't fight for us. It doesn't, you know, we're not forcing anyone to fight. Everyone's got choices. Everyone gets their knickers in the twist. Like, oh, this and the other. And it's just like, don't sign it. If I say I'm going to do a deal with you, George, I keep my end of the deal. You keep your end of the deal. That's it. Don't sign it. If you don't want to sign it, don't sign it. If it doesn't suit what you want to achieve and do in your fight career, don't do it. It doesn't stop you doing any forms of other combat apart from bare knuckle, you know, and that's it. And, you know, we're quite flexible with people. You know, there's people ducking out. I've got a glove fight this time and I've got that. So we're not holding people against it, you know, but it's unfortunate because we tried to let a fighter go pre-contract. And, you know, it's kind of like made us look a bit stupid in the long run, because then he went back and what he actually said was the reason that he wanted to go in public. And it's like, hold on a minute. And, you know, me and Joe have been going back as a force. And that's the situation. We're like, well, fuck them. We're not letting anyone else go on their contract. So that's kind of where we are. But yeah, no, look, they're legal contracts. You know, anyone can test it if they want to test it. There's certain people, you know, we've had a bit of a clear out. You know, the great thing about COVID is it's given us a chance to have a look at our fighter pool and a bit of a freshen up with, you know, as you know, we've recently let a few people go, Darren Godfrey, May Hodgson, for various kind of reasons. So it's given us a chance to have a look at what we want to do and what we want to achieve in the next few years ourselves, and who we see coming with us on our journey as a company.
Yeah, and obviously it's a very unforgiving sport. You've lost a few fighters over the years, and things don't always go the way you planned when you break up the contract. So how disappointing is that when it goes south?
Like Sean McFarland, Stuart Maddox, there's plenty of people that have left fantastic well. Stanley Wilson, there's you know 10 times more, but the trouble is you know the ones who create the drama are heard 10 times louder than the ones who just kind of leave and welcome to the shows and do a little bit and, you know, wish us luck every show and that. So that's just life, isn't it? People like a little bit of drama if like talking about it. So, you know, my view is quite simple. I'm not really that bothered about it. You know, listen, George, you know me, I love a little bit of banter. I don't take myself too seriously. You know, we're breaking ground all the time here. You know, whatever happens with bare knuckle, there's so many things that we've kind of achieved for that. So yeah, I think we've done a good job. Obviously, it's always disappointing. There's some people you've got close to, and you know, I put a status up on a personal level the other day, and I was like, myself and Joe were nowhere near prepared at the level of people in this kind of world. You know, I've met a handful of fantastic people, and then I've got some people who literally have a conversation like this, tell you to your face one thing, and then go and do the complete opposite, lie about it. You know, narcissists, and you know, we're in a place where you know we've took on a lot of lads that they would never get pro licenses because they've got various criminal convictions and stuff like this. And then you start to see why, because they're just not that, you know, online that they appear to be father of the year. When you meet them in real life, you know, the chances are they give their missus a slap and, you know, horrible to their kids, but they're making out like, oh, I miss my kids. And it's like, you know, come on, you're not that kind of person. But that's the world we live in with social media. People can appear to be something. In actual fact, people can appear to be completely opposite of what they really are. But yeah, I think that's the main point is we've picked up a lot of lads who couldn't go pro, good amateurs, that kind of stuff. But there's, you know, a reason for it. Some of their characters are a little bit less kind of straight than what they'd be. And it's always easy in life to blame someone else, isn't it? Blame BKB, blame me, blame Joe, blame whoever. You know, I always say to people is if something goes wrong in your life, the first place to look is look in the mirror. I do it myself all the time. Listen, I've fucked up loads of things on BKB and BareKnuckle. Loads of things like, why did I do that? That was fucking stupid. You know what I mean? Like that was a, you know, ridiculous decision to make. But you got to be big enough to just go, yeah, I fucked that up. You know what I mean? And that's it is. But yeah, they really go bitter and angry. And I think a lot of it is because most of these lads, you know, apart from like a Brad Pickett, a Chris Fishgold, a handful of Ishii Smith, a few others, this is the biggest platform they're ever going to be on. You know, and it's that kind of thing. And, you know, and some of our lads are not exactly very worldly. You know, they look at this thing like, you know, like I'm fighting abroad like it's a big thing, and people want to have likes on Facebook rather than achieving things of what they're actually achieving. You know, it's like they've never been to that place. So it gives them an opportunity. It's like, oh, wow, yeah, you know, I'm fighting in Mississippi, you know, but they don't realize that Mississippi is an absolute fucking bog of a shithole, you know, and that kind of thing. But the perception is online that it's some big big kind of achievements sort of thing. So there's that kind of thing as well with a few of the lads. But it's a mixture. It's a mixture of stuff, you know. But like I said, you know, George, you know, there's interviews we've had before, and I've said it before, I've said it again. If you don't want to sign for 3 years, don't approach BKB and don't fight for us. That's it. Simple. Don't cry about it. Don't cry when we take you to court and you sue to your spin and we win it and you go, oh, actually, it was a legal contract. Didn't realise. Don't sign a slave contract. Don't cry like a little bitch because you made a decision that fucked up. Take responsibility for the decision you make. And people around you, if they know you've signed it, you've done it. You know, like say, I'm of a thing where George and we've had conversations before, candid conversation about stuff, and you'll be like, well, Jim, you did say that, or da-da-da. I'll stick to my word. Have I ever done you wrong, George? Have you known all the time you've known me, if I said to you something, I've tried to do it.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I run my life on. So all I expect is other people to do the same. You know, don't then try and slink out of it and try and be this and, oh, you're stopping me from, you know, following my dreams and all this kind of stuff. That's fuck off. Do you know what I mean? It's just absolute bollocks, really. But yeah, that's it, really. That's it on a play. I don't know. So what to say? Don't sign for BKB if you don't want to sign for 3 years. Fuck off somewhere else and sign for them. Or better still, all the people who want to be real critical, go make your own fight promotion. It's so fucking easy. Why doesn't everyone else do it and be so successful at doing it? Because it's so easy. There's so much money to be made doing it. Fucking idiots.
Well, I thought I'd put this on a negative segue in order to finish on a positive note. So the final thing I wanted to note.
Positive. It's just factual, isn't it?
True.
Everything in life is factual, isn't it?
Very true. We'll finish on a positive note. Obviously, the latest news, inducted into the International Bare-Knuckle Boxing Hall of Fame. How does that?
Oh God, we've got to clear up the Hall of Fame stuff now.
Well, if you want, I mean, you can clear that up as well. But
before
that you've been inducted,
it was on your page, and all the drama was on your page. So to be clear, no matter what's said or done, once you're in the Hall of Fame for BKB, you're in it forever. So the BKB Hall of Fame have 3 inductees: Jimmy Sweeney, Sean George, Ricky Nelder. That's it. No one else is in the BKB Hall of Fame. Now, we've obviously got in with the Police Gazette, who give all the medals for the BKFC, the BYB. You know, they kind of got everyone under sort of one umbrella. They've got the diamond belt on the line, which would be the first time here. So that'll be the best at that weight category for Jimmy Sweeney and Barry Jones. One of them guys will get that belt, which is great. Part of the being with the Police Gazette is I felt that Scott and his organisation had disrespected BKB, you know, with the bullshit in the past and stuff. That had to be put right. So I said that we wanted a list of inductees to do it. Now, obviously, you know, Barry will probably be a future member in that, particularly if he beats Sweeney. But currently at the minute, Scott decided this is Scott's organisation. It's not BKB's organisation. As you know, there's lots of inductees from the BYB and BKFC in there as well. As he felt, Jimmy Sweeney and Sean George were in there. And he felt Eric Olsen should be in there because he was the first American in modern history to come over and do it. Yeah. And I don't think anyone can take away from that. You know, like I said, if we were looking at Hall of Fame entries in terms of purely what they achieved in fighting, well, you probably wouldn't have Ricky Nelder. When I announced Ricky, a lot of people messaged me going, how come Ricky's in it? He never was a world champion. He never did this. But we didn't want it to be a Hall of Fame just for people who were at the pinnacle of it. We wanted the guys who had fought everyone building up to it as well. So that was our criteria. The Police Gazettes was different. Eric's in there because he was the first American since John L. Sullivan to do professional bare-knuckle boxing. Okay. And that's it. And fair play to him. And no one should take that away from him because it's factual.
So Scott Burt didn't give you any reason why Ricky Nelder wasn't inducted? Because obviously people were debating it quite heavily in there.
I didn't push it. Ricky, by the time we discussed that, Ricky had already left. So I'm not going to push someone who's no longer a fighter and gone to fight for someone else in it. Of course I'm not. Why would I do that? You know, like, oh yeah, welcome to Barefist. And by the way, I've managed to get you in the Police Gazette Hall of Fame. You've been honoured for our Hall of Fame. You know, I'm not gonna push it. I didn't push it for Barry Jones. I didn't push it for Scott McHugh, Johnny Lawson, some of the other guys that potentially could have been in it. I didn't push it for anyone. I just accepted what people he said he felt should be in it and the reasons he gave, because I felt, well, it draws a line under where we are and he's recognised some people and we can see who's there moving forward. You know, but the Police Gazette only recognise BKB. They don't recognise anyone else because it's the only professional one in the UK. That's it. Simple. People can cry about that. But it's just factual. When people pay the insurance and whatnot for having it as a professional sport, then they can be recognised as a professional.
Perfect. All right then. Well, any final words? I mean, that pretty much sums it up. But anything else you want to say before we close this off?
No, that's it really. Just about the next show. Obviously, get it on the pay-per-view. It's going out in BN Sports. We've signed a deal for BN in the Middle East as well. So that's another few territories it's going to be on. So we've got 4 new territories from the last show. Just a good audience. We're just growing all the time. It's good. Like I say, people attribute to what you look on, because in this country, everything's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and they look at that and go, that's your audience. They don't realize that in other countries, it's still traditional broadcasters where it's what they watch on a telly and what they watch online and where they watch it. They don't realize that by far it's the biggest audience by an absolute country mile. We're not on an app, watch a few thousand people watching it. Our audience numbers are dwarf everyone's put together live audience. You could probably put every BYB, BKFC show together, and that'll be our audience for BKB 25. That's it. Fact. Again, people don't like it, but it's a fact.